Hi there, YouTube. Welcome to episode 0 of Shane Plays Spirit Island. This is going to be an introduction episode. I'm going to go over what this series is about and go through the tutorial. So if you're interested in actual gameplay, skip ahead to episode 1, which I am posting at the same time as this one. So real quick, first, a little about what's been going on with the channel for any regular viewers that we have at this point. Way back when we were last posting content regularly, there was that big scare with Kappa. You may not even remember it by now, but suffice to say, everyone was real worried about videos getting taken down and legal action being taken, and everything seems to have settled down now. But these videos are not meant for children, as I will mark them. They aren't necessarily child unfriendly, but I might swear a little bit, so, maybe don't let your kids watch. I don't think this series would be very interesting for kids anyway. This is a dude in his 30s playing a board game. Anyway, so I'm getting back into this now. I thought about Spirit Island as a result of watching other Let's Plays, in particular Northern Lion. Huge fan of his. I've been watching some of his Binding of Isaac, for example, and he is fantastic at that game to the point where he can talk a lot about the decisions he's making. I had been sort of brainstorming, thinking about how, as far as pure video games go, the Batman Arkham games are probably the ones that I'm most confident in, the most, have the most skill in, but not in a way that I can really talk about intelligently. I have thought a little about them, but most of it is sort of internalized in muscle memory, and that it doesn't really make for really interesting commentary. But Spirit Island, because it is very, turn-based, it's not real-time in any way, it can make for pretty good commentary, I think, and I'm excellent at it as a board game. So I'm just going to kind of run through and play the game. Real quick, as far as the plan for the series goes, the spirit that I'm best with is Thunderspeaker. Fantastic spirit. Basically, it helps out the Dahan a great deal, and uses the Dahan to fuel victory. You'll see very quickly that I tend to prefer this spirit. My intention for at least the first some number of videos, I'm actually coming back and doing this later, so at least 10 videos, because that's how many I've filmed so far, is to ramp up the difficulty slowly using Adversaries. I don't tend to play the scenarios as often, so I'm probably going to skip those for now. But the Adversaries, you can see their base difficulty as well as the difficulty at their different levels in parentheses here. So Sweden is generally considered the weakest of the 3 adversaries. Maybe not against Thunderspeaker, but we'll get into that in a couple of videos. And so I'll start with Sweden, then next go against Prussia, and finally against England. I've got one video. Episode 1 is just going to be no adversary at all. Then the videos after that, I'll do base difficulty of Sweden, then Prussia, then England, then level 1, then level 2. Just sort of keep cycling through to see how far I can get without losing as Thunderspeaker. And then once I've gotten all the way up or get frustrated and decide not to do those runs anymore, if I get up to Sweden level 5 and it's giving me too much trouble, I might skip it. I don't know yet. Yeah, wherever that series of events comes to a conclusion, I'll start to branch out, try out different spirits, maybe try playing as more than one spirit. That seems challenging, and we'll kind of go from there. So anyway, for right now, gonna go into the tutorial. It occurs to me that a lot of people who are watching this, maybe a person or two who is watching this, might not know how to play Spirit Island. So it'd be useful to do the tutorial for anyone who wants to learn the rules. At this point in the video, if you do know the rules of Spirit Island, you are very safe to just jump ahead to episode 1, because this is going to be kind of boring for you. Alright, welcome to Spirit Island. This is apparently Ray, and she will be helping us learn how to play. You can see the island. It's divided into 8 lands, exactly 2 of each terrain. The ocean on the left is not a land. As I explained to people when I'm teaching this game, there are exceptions to most of the rules. The ocean not being a space is one of those exceptions, but only when you're playing with a really weird spirit. Lands next to the ocean are coastal, other ones are inland. So we've got 3 coastal lands here. 2 jungles, 1 coastal, 1 inland. 2 mountains, 1 coastal, 1 inland. Sands, coastal, inland. And then the wetlands, both of them are inland on this map. Alright, yep, we can zoom around. Vast. Everything's cool. Alright. So, the Dahan. I love these guys. They are the inhabitants, semi-nomadic. There's a little bit of lore with this game. One of the things I really like about it is that it does do a great job of having the rules represent what is happening in the world very, very well. So I don't know that much about like the lore. I haven't read the like story in the rule book, but it does do a great job with representation of the conflict that it's simulating. So yep, there's 6 Dahan to start. Probably won't increase until we get the first expansion that opens up a lot more opportunities for increase. Blight. So this stuff's bad. If we get too much, we lose the game. And some invaders have already shown up. So these little buildings are the invaders. We want to get rid of them. Yep, town and city. Obviously, towns are smaller than cities. Alright, so let's see what happens if they're left unchecked. So, first step is to explore random terrain. In this case, they picked mountains. So an explorer goes into each mountain that has a source. The ocean is always a source, as is a town or a city. So this guy came from the town. This guy could have come from either the ocean or the city. Yep. Okay. After exploring, they will build there. This will be on a following turn. So yeah, this place built a town because it didn't have anything yet. This place, since it already had a town, built a city. So now it's got a city and a town, which is horrible. Yep. Alright. Invaders aren't finished yet. On the same turn, they will explore another random terrain. So that is the build phase, followed by the explore phase. They have explored the jungles this time, so it randomly picked jungle as the next explore card. Mountains are in danger. Next turn, the invaders will ravage those lands. Then they'll build in the jungle, and then they'll explore another random place. Alright, so during Ravage, each invader damages the land and the Dahan at the same time. You can see there were 2 Dahan here before. Now there's 1 Dahan, and they are injured. They can blight the land and destroy Dahan, but any surviving Dahan fight back and can destroy the invaders themselves. Coastal Mountain, 1 Dahan survived and fought back, dealing damage to destroy the town. They'll also ravage in the Inland Mountain. And, yep, there's another blight. Horrible. Alright, building in the jungle. Neither of the jungles had a town already, so they both get a town. And they explore again this turn, this time showing up in the Wetlands. Okay, next turn, the jungle gets ravaged. Yep, there was only one Dahan. Nobody survived to fight back. Blight is added to both. Alright, so here's where we introduce things getting slightly better for us. Because obviously we're not going to just stand here and do nothing. So, thousands of years before the Dahan arrived, powerful spirits existed on this island. So, in this tutorial we're controlling river, surges, and sunlight. Don't get used to it. As I said, this isn't normally my main spirit, but this is the tutorial spirit, apparently. More ground power. Make the invaders afraid. The easier it becomes to win. So, your spirit presence marks the lands that your spirit occupies. Your presence is needed in order to affect the island. We'll start with one presence in the wetland. We'll be adding more very soon. Okay. As we saw before, the invaders have an initial chance to explore. Invader card progression is shown at the bottom of the screen. They flip over the top card and explore there. So yeah, this is the Invader deck row here. So they're exploring the jungle to start with. Okay, before that, we get to grow more powerful. Let's begin the spirit phase. That happens with Starve every turn. Alright, so yeah, we can see the jungle has moved over into the build, reminding us that next turn they will build in the jungle and they'll explore somewhere else. We don't know where. Okay, spirit summary is accessible at the top of the screen. So yeah, we can click, we can see our whole board here, which we can get more into later. We've also got cards we can click on and look at. Right-clicking brings them up like that. Alright, every turn the first thing that happens is choose a growth option from 3 available options. So these are our 3 growth options, and we are apparently picking the middle one to add 2 presence. Our spirit panel has 2 tracks of presence. So basically this is the way that we, if you want to think of it like leveling up our character, we've got sort of a branching tree here where we can either increase our energy per turn or our card plays per turn. So in this case, we have decided to go energy per turn because that's what she told us to do, and we decided to go in this mountain for reasons. Alright, now we're getting 2 energy per turn instead of 1, shows it right here. Bottom presence track is for card plays. Alright, so we did have a second presence. So this thing here is add a presence at range 1 and add a presence at range 1. That's range 1 from places where I already have presence. So we are going range 1 from a place where I have presence, and this time from the card plays. So we'll have 2 card plays. Alright, so that plus 2 energy went into our energy pool. Energy is basically our currency for playing cards. Alright. Yep. Hovering over is a little one. I think right-clicking, we get a big one. Yep. Alright. For example, Flash Floods, 2 energy. And it also shows it in a little thing here. River's Bounty is 0. Order doesn't matter. For now, we're going to click Flash Floods and River's Bounty. Notice that when you play cards, their energy cost is deducted from your total amount of energy. Playing 2 cards right now, since we have 2 down here. So we can afford to play Boon of Vigor, because that's a 0. We can't play it, because we only have 2 card plays. Pretty simple so far. Alright, this little bird means the fast phase. So, time to use some of these powers. Yep, Fast powers happen before the invaders get to do anything. Slow powers are after they do stuff. Okay. So we can do our flash floods now. So flash floods is 1 damage, and then if target land is coastal, it does an additional damage. Since it is range 1, which it shows here, it can be at 1 distance from any of our 3 presents here, which is almost anywhere on the board. We couldn't do it here, but we wouldn't really want to anyway. We're going to go ahead and do it to this jungle. Alright, so we killed that explorer. Once an invader has taken damage equal to their health, they are destroyed. Explorers have 1 health, towns have 2 health, cities have 3 health. And when I'm teaching this in person, I always teach it. Towns, you can see, have 2 little buildings on their miniature. Cities have 3, so that's how you can remember how much health things have. And obviously, explorers, it's just 1 dude. He also has 1 flag. He has 1 hat. They're very singular. He has 2 arms, but don't let that. Anyway, in this case, the explorer with 1 health, we're dealing 1 damage, so he was damaged and destroyed. We destroyed the invaders in that land, so they will be unable to build this turn. So yeah, they can only build in places where they have people. Alright, no more fast powers to use. Next, they will take their actions. So they build in the jungles. In this case, they're building just in this jungle, not in this one, because of people we destroyed earlier. Now they explore, we flip it over, they're going to the mountains. Alright. Invaders have finished their actions, now is our chance to use slow powers. Let's start with River's Bounty, this other card we played. Target any land within range 0 of our presence, so it has to be one of these 3 places we have presence. For slow powers, just like fast powers, we're going to use... Alright, so River's Bounty is gathering up to 2 Dahan. If there are at least 2 there now, we add another one and we get an energy. So she wants us to toss that here. Gathering lets you move pieces from adjacent lands. Yep, we just went over that. Alright. Yes, so this is one of the non-expansion ways to add Dahan to the board. Apparently River's Bounty can do it. So, now that we've finished using River's Bounty, let's use our other slow power. We didn't need to play a power card for this one. This is our innate power, Massive Flooding. We'll talk more about innate powers later. Alright, I guess we'll talk more about them later. I could explain them now, but I'm not going to. So, Massive Flooding is going here. That allows us to push an invader. Pushing lets you move pieces from the targeting land into any adjacent land. She's in the way of seeing what it does. Oh, here we go. So it's this first row here. We can push either an explorer or a town. They're going to ravage in the jungle next turn, so that town is a big threat. We can deal with it by pushing it away. Just sweep your problems into a different land. Put it in this sand. So yeah, that's a fairly common tactic. Because you know which lands they're going to ravage and build in, if you push them into lands that they're not going to do those things in, then that particular piece becomes less of a problem for the near future. You'll still have to deal with it eventually, potentially, but for now, it's no longer a threat because it's not in the jungle anymore. I think that one of the appealing things about this game is that the enemies are fairly predictable, and so you can really plan around what they're up to. Alright, it's time to grow again. We want to continue adding presents to the island. We're going to keep doing the add 2 presents, it seems like. So this time we want 1 in the coast. And another one from here into the coast. Alright, when 2 or more presents are in a land, it creates a sacred site. That's this little explodey symbol under it. Sacred sites are required to use some powers. You can think of them as more powerful presence in whatever land they reside in. You may have noticed that your presence in the wetland is also shown as a sacred site, even though there's only one presence there. That's because of river surges and sunlight's special rule, River's Domain. So you can see here, River's Domain. Your presence in wetlands counts as a sacred site. Yep, I just did that part. Alright, we have finished growth and gained energy. We could play up to 3 cards per turn, but we only have 2 in our hand, so we'll just play both of them. Okay. Look at your innate power. Massive flooding has appeared again. It's time we explained how your elements let you activate your innate power. When you play a power card, you gain elements shown on it. So Boon of Vigor over on the side here has sun, water, and plant. And if we blow up the big version, we can see all of the elements, and those 3 are highlighted. Wash Away gives water and earth. Over here, we sum it up. We've got 1 total sun, 2 water, 1 earth, and 1 plant. Your innate power down here, which it shows it here, it shows it if I hover, and also on the actual spirit board itself, we can see that for 1 sun and 2 water, we're getting the first row of this. Because 1 sun, 2 water. They only last while the cards are in play, but more elements you gain by playing the right cards, the more powerful effects you can activate. So what she's talking about there is if we had 2 sun and 3 water, then we could instead do 2 damage and push up to 3. Okay, so Boon of Vigor targets a spirit, not a land. Grants 1 energy when you target yourself, or even more if you target another spirit. We don't have another spirit, so we're just using it on ourselves. Now it's the Invader Phase. They're going to ravage in the jungle. Alright, let's push the town away. There's just an Explorer and a Dahan. That's great. Explorers always deal 1 damage, so he deals 1 damage to the Dahan and 1 damage to the land. 1 damage to the land does nothing. It takes 2 or more to actually hurt the land. Dahan have 2 health, so they don't get destroyed. Basically, Dahan are similar to towns in that they are 2 attack, 2 defense, if you want to think of it that way. And explorers are 1 damage, 1 defense. Alright. Yep, as she's explaining here, 2 or more damage will deal blight, so 1 damage is ignored. Other jungle had nothing, no ravage occurs. Alright, building in the mountains. So this guy makes a town. These guys already have a town, so since they have more towns than cities, they're building a city. Alright, and this time they're exploring the wetland. Okay. We can limit the damage in mountains next turn by pushing away invaders. Let's do Wash Away on the inland mountain. This one. Alright, we can push both the town and the explorer. So yeah, this pushes up to 3 towns and or explorers. Town and the explorer to the adjacent sands. Cool. So we want to toss them over here. Once again, sands are a pretty safe place right now, because they're not anywhere down here. Okay, before we use Massive Flooding again, you might notice that it has a Sacred Site requirement. You can see the little Sacred Site there. Yep, range 1 from a Sacred Site, rather than the usual range 1. Alright, before we use Massive Flooding again, yep. Okay, Powers with this requirement can only target lands within range of sacred sites, but our presence in the wetlands counts. So we're going to use massive flooding to push one guy from here. Push him over here. Alrighty. The damage to Han gets to full health, which is great for us, but the same will happen to invaders. So yeah, partial damage doesn't really help unless you can do more damage in the same turn. Okay, at the end of each turn, our cards have been going to this discard pile. To get back our cards, we're going to have to reclaim. So yes, reclaim gets back all of our discard cards. We're also going to learn a new power, and we get a little bonus energy, because that's how River Surges rolls. So for the tutorial, and for usually your first few games of Spirit Island, there is just a deck that you draw a single card from. It's sort of prearranged to be balanced. In the games I'll be playing, you generally get 4 random cards and you get to pick one of them. They are not predetermined for your spirit. So in this case, we got Uncanny Melting. Yep, power progression deck. That's what I was talking about, where the 4 easiest to use spirits all have a power progression deck, which I guess is this right here, and shows us what's coming up. That's neat. All right. We can play up to 3 cards since we uncovered the 3rd thing here. All right. Flash Floods will help before the Ravage in the Coastal Mountain. River's Bounty and Uncanny Melting will help strengthen our position. Sure, let's do those. Okay, Massive Flooding has been activated thanks to all the elements. Okay. Oh yes, so this turn we have the 2 sun and 3 water. We actually have 3 sun and 3 water. So we're getting the 2nd level of it. Okay. So, Flash Floods. It'll do 2 damage if we do it to a coastal land, which are the ones adjacent to the ocean, as you may recall. So let's go ahead and take this place out. When we're dealing damage, we get to pick where we put it. So obviously we want to hurt the town because we have 2 damage, so boop, boop. And as we saw before, just an explorer there is fine. So yes, a town being destroyed means there's fear. The more fear we generate, the better, basically. Beneficial effects, and also moves toward better victory conditions. We are scary. Having your town destroyed in a flash flood is scary. Alright. Similar to last turn, in the coastal mountain, there is a lone explorer with a Han. We know how that's going to play out. Yep, dealt 1 damage, so nobody got hurt. No land got hurt. Alright. This place, on the other hand, is bad. So we lost to Dahan. Granted, we had gotten a free Dahan, so that's not the worst thing in the world. Unfortunately, they're also going to add Blight, and anytime they add Blight, a presence is destroyed from that land as well. Destroyed presence normally can't be recovered, so that's gone. But then they fight back for 4 damage, which is more than the 3 they need to kill the city. Killing a city makes 2 fear, so we're at 3 fear. You'll note it says 3 out of 4 because the first card is coming along at fear number 4. Alright, slow powers are paying off now. They're only going to build a single town. So you'll notice on the deck here, I'll point this out, I don't know if she's going to go into it or not. The first 3 cards here were stage 1 cards. If it over. Yeah, stage 1. And stage 1 at the bottom. So in stage 1, there is generally one of each land type, but then one is removed at random. In this case, it was clearly the sand. In stage 2, there is one of each land type, and also a special one that says coastal, which we'll get to, I'm sure. But once again, one card is removed at random. So possibly one land type, or possibly coastal, although I don't think they do that for the tutorial, is going to be missing from this area as well. So that's how we got another mountain before we ever got a sand. You could technically go the whole game like never getting one type of land. Also, when we start fighting adversaries, the stage 2 cards will have additional effects. Alright, so Uncanny Melting. We can do right here. Probably should have gone over what Uncanny Melting actually does. So if invaders are present, it makes a fear. And if target land is a sand or wetlands, we remove a blight. That's lovely. We don't like blight. So we got our 4th fear. So now we have a card in the earned stack. Once we get 2 more fear cards, we'll get to Terra level 2. You can see on the Terra level 2 card, it involves no towns and no cities. Alright. So, also removing Blight returns to the Blight pool. So, this is sort of the basic version of the Blight card. For this one, it's 5 per player, and if there are ever no Blight there, you lose the game. Later on in the games I'm going to be playing, it normally only starts with like 2 Blight per player, although there's a patch coming that makes it 3. Well, it's 2 per player and then adds 1 in the patch. And then a different effect happens on the other side of the card after it flips, which can be very, very bad and set us back a great deal. Alright, built up invaders in the coastal sands. Let's use River's Bounty to pull some Dahan in there. Coastal sands. Alright, River's Bounty did the same thing as last time. Gather 2, we get a bonus energy and an extra Dahan. Okay, Massive Flooding powered up. We can deal damage and destroy invaders. Use it on the central wetland. We get to kill off this town. Okay. It also lets us push up to 3 explorers and towns. We could push away that explorer, but when we're ravaging land with just an explorer, he'll end up getting killed without causing problems, so we're just going to say finish pushing instead of actually pushing that guy. Alrighty. Excuse me while I check on my DoorDash. Yep, it's getting close. Alright. May need to pause this shortly. So, this is a good time to use our 3rd growth option. We're gonna click on it. We get a new power card. Defend. I think she's about to explain defend. Want to replace the presence that was destroyed last turn. Drag it here. Okay, we can play all of our cards this turn, then reclaim next turn. Sounds like a great plan, Tutorial Lady Ray. We've unlocked Massive Flooding again, this time just 1st level. Sounds like I'm getting a call from DoorDash. I'll be back in a sec. And we're back. For you, it was an instant. For me, it was a meal. Feeling great. Alright. So, we unlocked Massive Flooding again. We're only getting the 1st level of it this time. Cool. So, Boon of Vigor on myself, as is tradition. Curse me, I haven't actually read this card, but yeah, it's literally just give yourself an energy. Since it's during the fast phase, it doesn't really help you for that turn, typically. but it helps build up for future turns, which we're pretty energy rich right now. All right. We have another fast power, Nature's Resilience. Um, and it also has an elemental threshold, which we currently meet. The main effect, Defend 6, isn't very useful this turn. We'll get into it later, I'm assuming. But we have 2 water, so we can use it to remove a blight. So that's going to be range 1 from a sacred site. We can instead remove a blight. So we'll still be able to use Massive Flooding. The elements are not consumed the way that energy is. It's just sort of, if you have it, then you have it for the whole turn, as long as the cards are in play. So we'll go ahead and use Nature's Resilience on this land to remove that blight. Alright. So, fear cards happen at the start of the Invader Phase, so now we get to see one of those. On this one, so fear cards get better and better as the game goes on. This one is currently Fear Terror level 1, so we're going to get to remove an Explorer from an inland land, as she is now saying. So, any land that's not adjacent to the ocean is inland, as we discussed in the beginning of this tutorial. Obviously, places that they're going to build are high-value targets for removing an explorer, so we're going to get rid of that guy, so he can't build. That way, this place is empty. Alright, so, ravaging the wetlands, that's wonderful, there's nobody up there. Building in the mountains, just the one. That's pretty good too. Exploring in the sand. So finally, they've decided to go after these sands that we've been shoveling people into. So now they have become a problem. We can clear the inland sand to prevent it from building. Go ahead and use your powers to push all the invaders into the central wetland. So sure, wash away. We're going to put you there, and you there, and you there. Because that pushes up to 3. This one pushes 1. Yep. River Surges has a lot of things for pushing towns and explorers. It's not as good at dealing with cities, but towns and explorers it can kind of shuffle into places where they are less of a problem. We're out of cards, so obviously we're going to reclaim. New powers are always good. Pull Beneath the Hungry Earth. So this is another one that basically has 2 potential things that it can do, and it could do both. So if I'm there, it's doing a fear and a damage. If it's a sand or a wetland, it's doing a damage. So I can get 2 damage if I target a sand or a wetland that I have presence in. Alright, so we have decided to play these 3, including that new one. Innate power is activated at level 2, I think? Yes, level 2. So we've got the 2 sun and 3 water. So, Flash Floods in the coastal mountain, because once again, since it's coastal, we'll be dealing 2 damage. We can take out the town, and we're not worried about the explorer. Okay, Inland Mountain is already clear. We destroyed the town in the coastal mountain. They won't do any blight this turn. Yay. Alright. They only build in 1 sand. It's this big one right here. Oh boy, it's that Coastal Lands card. Okay, they're exploring coastal lands, so add an explorer to every land adjacent to the ocean. Okay, Pull Beneath the Hungry Earth, as we discussed, has 2 things going for it. we can satisfy both. Use your powers to destroy 2 towns in the coastal sands. Alright. So, this one is dealing 2 damage. 1 because we have presence there, and 1 because it's a sand. So, boop, boop, it's dead. Then we've got Massive Flooding, which does 2 damage and then potentially pushes Explorers. But Ray here told us we're not doing that. So, finish pushing. Alright. Having more Dahan is always good, especially in a central location where they can be pushed or gathered from. So let's Rivers Bound here. Grab these 2. This is honestly starting to look like the kind of games I play with Thunderspeaker, where I'm just gathering up Dahan into places to do stuff with them. Alright, only a little more I need to teach you before you take on this challenge alone, thank goodness. You have grown in power and knowledge. At this point, we have a lot of energy and not much to do with it. Choosing our 3rd growth option will get us a new power card. Oh boy, Accelerated Rot. So as I'm sure she's about to explain, this thin blue border tells you that it is a major power card. It'll also have a different card back. In the full game, which she probably won't explain, you can choose to gain a major power at any time instead of a minor power. It's always your choice which one you want to grab, but generally minor powers you want to grab for at least the first few, both because they tend to cost less, as you can tell. This one's a big 4 energy power, and as she's about to explain, so they almost always have these elemental thresholds, which on this one is frickin' huge. Alright. Major powers have a drawback. When you gain them, you must first forget a power to make room for them. Or you must forget a power. Forgetting a power means you don't have access to it anymore. You can forget any power, including from your discard pile, or even the major power you just gained. So if you draw 4, as I explained in the main game, you draw 4 and pick 1. If you draw all 4 and they're all bad, you can just pick 1 and then forget it. But otherwise, you're generally going to need to forget usually a minor power, because usually your innate powers are really good for you. Alright, any power to forget it except Nature's Resilience. We really need it for this turn. And we could forget from the discard pile. So I think Boon of Vigor is probably actually the one I care about the least here. It is one of my innate powers. Well, okay, hold on. So we know we want the threshold. So powers that can help us get that threshold are important. Oops, that's not what I meant to click. Here we go. So maybe Pull Beneath the Hungry Earth is actually the weak link here. Maybe. I just hate to give up that damage. I don't know what the right choice here is. She's finally giving me choices, and I have no idea what to do. Let's drop Wash Away for now. Alright. Go ahead and add a presence wherever you like. Yep, we're getting choices now. So, Reclaim 1 means we'll be able to grab a new thing. More energy. Again, we're pretty flush with energy, even though we're about to spend a lot of it. So I think I would like the Reclaim. And I wouldn't mind having another Sacred Site. So let's go here. Okay. Uncovering Reclaim 1 on your presence track lets you reclaim. So I think here, once again, we want one of these to probably... More River's Bounty seems good. Alright. We need really Nature's Resilience for this turn, so start by playing that. Okay. So. You're going to Ravage here. We've got to defend for that. Which is helpful in ways that we'll explain in a bit. Let's see. Probably this is our primary target. I think we want to hit that with an accelerated rot if we can. But we've got 3 card plays, so we're not going to be able to get to the elements for it this turn. So maybe we prepare for one more turn and can have a big accelerated rot turn. Well, yeah, I think it really has to be this turn. Because they're going to build here this turn, and then they're going to ravage their next turn. So since this is slow, I feel like if we're going to use it, I mean, we could use it after they ravage. There's going to be a blight there, so we'll also get the blight removal. But I think I just want to use it this turn. It's not going to do quite as much damage, but that's alright. And then probably a River's Bounty. And finish playing cards. Alright, Nature's Resilience has a Defense 6 effect. When used on a land, invaders that would deal damage to a land or to Han there, it deals 6 less damage. Which they're only dealing 5 damage, so that's great. And then the Dahan will fight back. Yes. Oh yeah. Boom. Okay, what's the fear card giving us? Each player removes 1 explorer or town from land where it's the only invader. Oh, that's lovely. They're going to build on the coast, so probably I want to take from there. Ravaging the sands. Building on the coast. Exploring the wetlands. So you'll notice for the first time ever we had an explorer not happen, because this one has no source. In order for inland lands to explore, there really has to be an adjacent city or town, or a city or town inside that land, and none of those things are true. Alright, you're now ready to continue on your own. Victory is close, and I believe in you can do it. Alright, level card shows you what you need to win. Right now we have to remove all explorers, towns, and cities. By generating enough fear to reach terror level 2, you can reduce it just towns and cities, which is much easier. Beware, there are 3 ways to lose. Running out of Blight in the Blight pool. All of your presence on the island will spell Doom. The Invader deck they explore from has 5 cards left. If we run out, then you can't reveal another card. Then we took too long. Alright. Stay positive, you have learned a great deal, and with your courage and cleverness, I am confident you can achieve victory. I am too. If you change your mind about a decision, you can use undo button. Oh, she finally gave us the undo button. Alright. Yep. So. Yes. So yeah. Range limits, as a reminder, work from my presence, although that's not really going to be an issue since I'm everywhere. Target land, this only targets jungles or wetlands. That was actually why I removed the Explorer from here, because our big power affects jungles and wetlands. Alright. So, on this next turn, let's see. I don't know why I thought they were going to ravage here earlier. But we can't back up that far. So the undo button only goes back as far as the last unknown piece of information, which was them exploring the wetlands. For some reason, I think probably because there were so many people here, I thought that they were going to do something here this turn, but it turns out we could have actually saved Accelerated Rot for them. So Accelerated Rot does 4 damage. Massive Flooding is only at level 1, so it does no damage. If I do 4 damage here, it takes out the town and 2 explorers, and they'll still build. If I do it here, it takes out everything, and we don't need to worry about the Ravage at all. Or we can pile on Accelerator out here now, maybe finish it off on the Fast Phase with like a... Flash Flood doesn't quite get it done because it's not coastal. Pull Beneath the Hungry Earth could, though. Yep, that would... oh, but that's slow phase. I still think if we damage here, we can defend here next turn. So let's get some people here. Oh, wait. That's range 0. Never mind. We're going to accelerate Rot here. Because I don't have another great way to deal with that. Alright, we have hit Terra level 2. Only thing separating us from victory is this singular town. So all we have to do is figure out how to kill that town. Let's Rivers Bounty our way in here. Get another guy, get some more energy. Ah, and if we push the town onto the coast, then we can Flash Flood to finish it off. So, massive flooding, put you there. We reclaim to get our card back. We also now have Song of Sanctity. If target land has explorers, push all explorers, otherwise remove a blight. That is cute, but not really what we need to do right now. Right now, we just need a Flash Flood. And that's literally it. We don't have any blight to remove, so let's just play that card. Finish anyway. Boop. And we win. Alright, so that is the introductory game of Spirit Island. This would be a decent score, except for the fact that there was no adversary. Obviously, increasing the difficulty also increases your score. You can see here. So yes, victory is 10. It does plus 5 times the difficulty. So if we had a difficulty, then we would get extra bonus points there. Invader cards in the deck, so basically the faster you win, you get plus 2 points per turn. The number of Dahan on the island, so making extra Dahan, even though like it started out with 6, and we used that River's Bounty card a few times, so that gets us an extra point each. And we get minus points for Blight, but we cleaned it all up. So, yep, very high scoring game, but obviously we didn't do most of it. We can't really take credit for that. So, yeah, as I play, I will definitely try to maximize score, and we'll see how everything goes. Hope you enjoyed this. Hope you enjoy future episodes, and I'll catch you next time.